Hi, and welcome to Top Dice. I'm Aid, and we've got Alan as usual. Hi, Alan. How are you doing?
Hello, I'm doing well. Doing very well, thank you. Yourself?
Yeah, it's been a very busy, good little week. So here we
Tell me
are.
about it. Yeah, yeah.
Flipping heck, yeah, be very, very, very busy. Have all sorts going on, but we're here. We've got to Tuesday, and we've got to Top
Yeah.
Dice. So bring
Walking,
it on.
talking, not on fire.
So, what's your week been like? What's it look like? Lots of work in the
Lots of work. Worked half of the weekend.
yeah warehouse time.
Warehouse time. Prep for UK Games Expo. Um, I'm deep into at the moment working with some of the publishers that we work with because they are branding certain parts of our stand for
Yeah,
UK Games Expo. So those of you who came to the GMS stand last year will remember the big hexagonal banner because it was like 6 meters across. It's a huge thing. And we branded it with certain publishers that we work with us to go to get their names and things on there. And I'm putting that all together at the moment. So yeah, it's just busy, busy, busy. But this, it's all good thing.
yeah.
And no
Well,
gaming though this week, which is a bit of a shame. But it's just one of those. It's just one of those times. Our regular GM is also a performing artist, and he's performing in a show in Buxton. So that means that this last week was dress rehearsals. Tomorrow is the first night of performances for Joseph and his Technicolor Dreamcoat in Buxton. So if you live in that area and you fancy a night out, I think it's showing until Tuesday of next week. So
fantastic. Well,
there
we're
you go.
definitely worth show to watch.
Little plugs.
And
Why not?
yeah, and so Expo's coming together.
Yes, it is. Yeah, yeah. It's amazing how it kind of creeps up on you, and then all of a sudden it's right in your face.
Well, it's not many weeks to go now. It's dropping by the day.
Oh,
So
tell me about it.
yeah. So anyway, that's something to look forward to. We'll maybe get an announcement out about getting some people together for Expo
Well,
next week or the week
we
after.
should try. We should try that. But I have my trusty selfie stick here as well, so there will be there will be selfie stick videos of the UK Games Expo setup. If I can master the technology, what I want to try and do is a time lapse photography of the stand setup. So I want to go in the morning. The only thing that will be there, I think, is a big carpet. So I'm going to set up a tripod and a camera and a time lapse over the course of the setup day. And if I do it right, we'll have a time lapse video of the stand actually coming together, which I'm kind of kind of curious to see if it works. I think it'll be quite good.
I think it could be. I can overlay the Yakety Sax soundtrack at the end of it if you want as well.
I was thinking probably more like Benny Hill or Chuckle Brothers, but
Well, that's it. Benny Hill is actually Yakety Sax.
oh, was that what that is? There we go. Education as well.
But yeah, that would work quite. It would be very interesting to actually sort of see. It would also show the amount of work that actually goes into this as well, which is, I'm quite sure, quite incredible.
I think if you're running a small stand, and don't forget, we work with small publishers as well as big ones. Even if you're running a small stand, you're still thinking about what's going to happen at UK Games Expo, 3, 4 months out. George from Three Sales Studios, who was on with us a few weeks ago, they've got their new game coming out at Games Expo. They're in production with it now. They're going to be delivering to at least UK Kickstarter backers in a week or two, and then it's going to release on sale at UK Games Expo, so Gallows Corner. And I've been talking with George for at least a month about the logistics and getting the stock and things because it's got to come to us and then we take it into Expo for them. And they've got a decent sized stand, but you're still, if you're not planning it 3, 4 months ahead, you're
It's
behind.
gonna
You
hurt, I guess.
By the time the show comes around, you're behind the curve massively. So, um, but it's I long for the days of a small stand, but yeah, 140 square meters, and we basically take a shop. So, well, it's what it is. It'll be fun.
It will be, and I'm looking forward to sort of seeing what the end results are all going to be like. Yeah, bring it on. That
Mm.
so. anything new this week from yourselves?
It's a bit quiet, isn't it? I think, generally speaking, at the moment, things have been a little bit. Maybe it's because of the aforementioned UK Games Expo that people are holding on to releases. Got one little bit of news on a release, and I know it's more board game than role-playing game, but Pathfinder Quest is imminent. And they were hoping to have that release for June, and we were hoping to have a big pile of it for UK Games Expo, but it's experienced some clearance issues at the port in Seattle. So we're not actually now releasing that until July, but that's going to be nice. Nice sort of Pathfinder tie-in, an easy little board game thing with big Pathfinder tie-in. I think that's going to be quite good. Big news for us at the moment is our Talsorian, which is perennial. You know, they've been around since the 80s. The really good news is that Cyberpunk Red has been reprinted, and we will have it back. We will have it back in stock. I've been told our pallet delivery is Tuesday. We've already got shipping orders for a bunch of retailers. So by the weekend after the bank holiday weekend, you should be able to pick that up in lots of game stores or from us. But yeah, so Cyberpunk Red and the GM screens are coming back in as well. We've got those. Sadly, not got all of the Cyberpunk Red books, and the starter sets are still out of print. But great news that you can get your hands on the core rules. And we should also be getting 2020 as well.
Okay.
They're reprinting 2020 and a load of the supplements that go with that. So continues to be popular. Cyberpunk Red in particular continues to be popular. But the one I really was going to talk about is a completely new, actually it's not completely new, but a new game, a new core rule book anyway from Talsorian for Shadowscar. So the Shadowscar starter set, quick start, has been around for 6 months, maybe 9 months, something like that. And the core rule book is now coming out, and I think it's got quite an interesting little take. It looks interesting. I've obviously not been able to look at it yet because the stock isn't with us until early part of next week. But it's about it takes Japanese mythology and then puts a kind of, it's almost like a Men in Black / Rifts slant on it, for want of a better word. So you play a character as a part of an agency. So it's like an agency-based game, but they're hunting yokai, the sort of Japanese mythology, demons, devils, those kind of things. Heavy martial arts slant on it, but it's got a multiverse thing going on as well. So this agency can go across different timelines and different things like that. So you've got magical fantasy realm, you've got steampunk realm, you've got pulp, that kind of thing, and all the way up to your sci-fi kind of things. And you've got different martial arts schools and stuff like that going on with it as well. So it sounds like a really interesting game, and we think it's going to be popular. The starter set was quite popular. I don't think it didn't pull up the trees, but I think now that now that the full rule book is out, I think you'll see a lot of interest in both sides of it for Shadowscar. It's a really interesting premise, and we know that our Talsorian produce good games, don't we? So
yeah, we definitely do. It sounds a bit like Shadow Fist in a way, with all the various sort of alternate realities and everything else going on, and strange monsters.
I'm not aware of Shadow Fist, so I will take your word for it.
Yeah, it basically, it's a Hong Kong action Japanese.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Action fighting across the timelines and all sorts of thing. Typical sort of, I would say, Asian tabletop role playing game. That's the best way to put it. And it spawned a great little card game as well. So
right.
So yeah, the Feng Shui. Sorry, it was the role playing game.
Oh yes, I remember. Yeah. Yes, I remember that. Yeah. Get your pronunciation right, sir. It's feng shui, if you don't mind. Or is that only if you're an interior designer? I don't know.
I don't know. It doesn't matter. But anyway, it's involved hitting big monsters with your fist, and Yeah,
Yeah.
well, there's nothing
So
wrong with
my
that.
wife regularly goes into battle with ropey wallpapers.
Well, there you go, sorted.
Also feng shui. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
The less popular version.
Yeah, well, for us anyway.
So what about you? Have you heard anything new?
There's still news circulating around Ravenloft, the new D&D book that's sort of coming out.
Right.
So that's there circulating around. It's obviously I mentioned I think the other week that it's got Innsmouth in it, which is quite unusual. But there's quite a little bit more material that's actually sort of come out since then as well. And it's looking it really is looking quite interesting.
It's a perennial, isn't it, Ravenloft? I think.
Yeah, it's a bit of a strange one. I must admit, I thought they would have left it through till October to release Ravenloft because in my mind it just works better. But in their infinite wisdom, they've decided that no, that's not going to be the case, and they've decided to actually release it here at this time of year. The reasoning, well, I don't know. Really don't know. It'd be interesting to sort of see what the reasoning actually sort of was on that front, but it's adding quite a bit to the actual setting. We've got 16 further additional domains of dread to kick off with. So that'll be 16 more sort of Dark Lords as well. So on top of a madass vampire that just wants to sort of suck your blood and make your life a misery, you'll have 16 other things also wanting to do something similar, including some deep one, Lovecraftian, nasty things too. So that's a start off. There's going to be 7 new subclasses. So there's that as well. I know there's a Reanimator and Hollow Warden class. Now, whatever they're going to be like, I'm not entirely sure, but it's going to be all new. And also, they're introducing 10 different genres of horror into it as well, plus a stack of extra monsters if you haven't had enough.
And genres of horror.
Yes.
And a reanimator. So is that like a player character version of a necromancer?
I'm guessing so.
You can be a reanimator, but if you're a necromancer, everybody wants to.
Oh no, that
see
you can't.
off.
You can't be. You can't be a necromancer. That's just horrible. But
Right.
you can reanimate things, and why not? That's the legal way of doing it. So yeah, there's a lot going on actually. And as for the 10 genres of horror, it's apparently it's everything from dark gothic through to I suppose the labyrinth style of fantasy. So there's quite a variation of different themes going on there.
Mm-hmm.
So watch this space. More information will be coming out, but that's it. But the number of books that Ravenloft, in fact, all of D&D actually spawned, which I suppose links us in quite nicely to the next question of Appendix N, the influences on your gaming.
Yes, today's discussion topic.
Yeah. Now we were supposed to be having a couple of people joining us. Unfortunately, they've had to cry off due to other reasons, which is absolutely fine. But I think it's just too interesting a topic to not talk about. For me, it was back in the days. I think the first ever book that I got that got me thinking about things was Poul Anderson's The High Crusade, which is way back in the mists of time, closely followed by Conan.
Yeah.
Robert T. Howard.
Mm-hmm.
So they were my 2 kickoffs. And that was before Tolkien and co as well. So we're talking, mid-70s here. And obviously, Robert T. Howard had been along for quite a while at that stage. He'd been dead for 40 years, so some going.
Yeah, I mean, I read Conan. I've got a great big anthology of Conan stories, and it's got to be 3 inches thick. It's a massive book, and it's quite good. But I think for me, I'd say the thing that influenced me the most as a player,
Yeah,
when I think I got into D&D in like 84, something like that, and it was Redbox D&D. And at that point, I'd read a couple of fantasy novels, but nothing sort of mainstream. It's not like Eddings or anything like that. And then about a year, maybe 2 years later, one of the guys in our group started running a game, and it was based in David Gemmel's Draenei
Right.
series, and he ran a game based in that. And that got me into reading David Gemmell. And I was fortunate enough to meet him a couple of times actually before he passed away.
Yeah. Sad
Uh,
loss.
but but Draenei is just amazingly rich. And excuse me, um, I find it, it's an amazingly rich setting. It's not magic heavy or anything like that. It's all about the people. There aren't really monsters. There are a couple of things that pop up, but I think what I really like about it is that the monsters are also human beings. That's what I really like about it. Proper heroes, proper bad guys. So I'd say that was definitely one of my early influences. But then I also find so it was after that, after I'd read a lot of David Gemmell and in particular his Draenei series. It was only then that I read things like Lord of the Rings. So
Mhm.
I was probably into the late 80s, maybe even early 90s when I read Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
So, but for me, I know the movies are not strictly accurate to the books and things like that. I get all of that. But they're so amazingly well made. And what I really liked about the Lord of the Rings movies is just seeing some of the character interaction and the way they talk to one another, and you do get the lines from the books coming into the way that they talk to her, and how those are delivered. And I think that has influenced me as a GM,
Yeah.
particularly if I'm running fantasy. Then I think you get that vibe kind of thing going, and I like that.
Definitely.
I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Um,
The vibe, it really, yeah, it sort of strikes a chord. For me as well, it was the visuals from the Lord of the Rings series. Um, that helps me describe places in Greyhawk
yeah.
latterly.
Hmm.
They certainly sort of created a wealth of ideas, especially the various woodlands and the ruins they came across, the huge statues at the edge of the river and all that sort of stuff.
Oh, they are Gonath. Yeah.
Yeah, it really struck a chord. And he thought, you know what, I can use that elsewhere. Definitely.
I'm just checking something, or reminding myself of a name. Was Angus McBride, who was one of the guys who did the artwork for the Middle Earth role-playing
Yeah,
game. But I'm pretty sure that he was also a consultant on the movie.
I think you
And
might
and
quite be
and there was
right.
another
Yeah.
artist, and the name that's in my head is somebody Lee, but I can't quite recall it. But I know at least one of them was involved in the MERP role-playing game, which is
Yeah.
why you see a lot. Well, certainly if you've been a role player for as long as we have, you see that familiarity in the way things look, the whole aesthetic of Middle Earth, which again is brilliant, isn't it? As a
Yeah.
GM,
Well, that's it. I think MERP was a gateway role playing game for many people who D&D was obviously the thing, but when
yeah.
MERP appeared, because of the connotation and the artwork as well on the Games Workshop box,
Hmm.
it just works so very well. The stark purple, dark, that's almost terrifying imagery on
Hmm.
that box really sort of hit home. In fact, all the various boxes that Games Workshop came up with were absolutely. The Call of Cthulhu one as well
Hmm.
was absolutely great. I admit it sort of thing was pulled from the Chaosium original title, but with the tentacle stretching around the bottom again, that created a whole wealth of ideas that just sprung up with the Adams Family style house on the hill that the
Yeah, yeah.
investigators were
Hmm.
looking at. But yeah, back to Lord of the Rings, it was Middle Earth. It was for me a classic game, and also the number of supplements that came out for it.
Yeah.
And the maps were just absolutely gorgeous.
Legendary.
Just yeah, epic, legendary,
Yeah.
and oh,
I have all but two, I think, of the MERP modules. Yeah, I've got them all in a box on a shelf behind me there that you can't see because otherwise you'd be able to see the mountain of rubbish that's in between me and the shelf. But it's but yeah, and great times as a player
yeah,
as well. And I think, I mean, as a writer, obviously, totally different, really, set of influences
yeah,
because I set off like with Section D. I set off with an idea for a kind of pulpy adventure, and the very first thing in my that came into my head was it started with this crazy idea. My wife came in to the room where I work, where I'm sat right now, and she said, "Do you want a cup of tea?" And I said, "Want a cup of tea? That sounds like the Aztec god for having a brew."
mm,
And it just sparks this little idea in my head, and it's like, well, okay, where do you find if one a cup of tea is an Aztec god for having a brew, where's his temple? And put a kettle on was the thing that came out.
yeah,
And then it was, well, who goes looking for that kind of thing? And this pulp adventure just kind of fell out of my
yeah,
head. And then I started researching and I found this book by a chap called Malcolm Atkin, which is Section D for Destruction. And it was reading that and finding out about the actual Section D that gave me the inspiration for the
yeah,
fictional Section D. Throw some X-Files and some Indiana Jones and a little bit of LOLO in there, and all of a sudden you've got a game, you've
yeah,
got something that you can sit down at a table. People have got a reason for doing what they need, and they've got a conduit to have some laughs, and you don't need much more than that.
no,
Um,
that's it.
so that Malcolm Atkin, I mean, Malcolm Atkin's a great historian anyway, and he does a lot of really, really good stuff. So I would, anyone that's interested, particularly in Second World War, and some of the a bit more offbeat history, things like the Home Guard and stuff like that. He's done some fantastic books. So yeah, for me that was a big help and a big inspiration when I was writing.
Yeah, it's well for me there was Ian Fleming as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Um, the James Bond, but not just the James. They did Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, obviously as
yeah,
well.
hmm
And again,
yeah.
if you want a fantasy sort of Castle Falkenstein world, well, bang, that's it. Complete with the daft names, truly scrumptious and co. You know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And Roald Dahl as well,
Yeah,
not a lot of people know. Well, I don't know, maybe a lot of people do know this these days, but Roald Dahl was a spy.
yeah,
So he's obviously got real world inspiration there for some of his stories, which is great. But yeah, I think we grew up as well. Or I did. Oh, you're a bit older than me anyway, aren't you? But but I'd say we had a golden age of movies as well
yeah,
in the sort of, if you go from say 82 up to 92, something like that, that 10-year period. When you got Alien, which was a little bit earlier, was sort of late 70s, but then obviously you've got Star Wars, but you've got 86 Aliens. What a movie, for sci-fi, for like a hard sci-fi kind of thing. What a movie. Total Recall, Predator, all these amazing films.
it's definitely. Well, what I would also say is we were very lucky because of the television we had, because every Saturday afternoon and quite a few evenings of the weekend, you got movies like Guns of Navarone,
Yeah.
Where Eagles Dare, Battle of Britain,
hmm
which action-packed movies that they don't really make to the same level, dare I say. I'd sort of argue that Saving Private Ryan is certainly not on the same level as most of those, or The Longest Day, or any of them. And they used to pop up with such regularity, and were such an influence on me too.
Yeah.
That was
It's amazing when
another.
you learn about things like this, though, and then you watch The Longest Day and you realize how wildly inaccurate it is. But
Yeah,
um, And
But it was a
A
story,
Bridge Too
wasn't it? It
Far
was,
as well.
yeah,
Yeah,
A Bridge Too Far. Yeah, A Bridge Too Far was again probably one of my
and
favorite movies. Is that?
Battle of the Bulge, what possibly one of the greatest works of fiction ever, that
Yeah,
movie.
yeah. Uh,
um but you see, I don't agree with you. See, I think Saving Private Ryan and Band of Brothers were just amazing.
Band of Brothers was really good.
What I liked
The
about
Pacific.
Band of Brothers was the characterization. I think
Yeah,
the fact that it's an ensemble piece, it's
yeah.
not just about one character. Although, there is obviously a focus, I suppose, on Richard Winters moving through it, but there's so much time given to the stories of so many people within
Oh,
that
that's
series.
it.
It's brilliantly done.
And you got to hear them. That was the
Yeah.
thing at the
Hmm.
end. You got to hear what they had to say. So you got to sort of see it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then you got to hear their commentary about what it was
So
actually like.
70s and 80s fantasy movies then. Hawk the Slayer.
Oh, classic. Uh,
Um,
with
you
the
know,
elf with the
every
repeating bow. Yeah.
that's it. Everybody wanted a character who could shoot a bow that fast. Do you know the one that I always like? Clash of the Titans, the first, the original Clash of the
Again,
Titans.
classic with the owl and
Yeah,
yeah,
with the Harryhausen special effects, what
yeah.
have you?
Well, all the Harryhausen movies, all the
Yeah,
Sinbad stuff.
yeah, Jason and the Argonauts,
Yeah.
things like that. That was. So I think that influenced. I'd say would that influence like the way that you can run a low level encounter in something like D&D with a band with skeletons,
Yep. I've
because
used that. Getting up the ground. Yeah.
they're pretty much sword fodder, aren't they? Really, but there's no reason why you can't make that a challenging encounter, and that movie shows you exactly how you can do it. It's a
Exactly.
good influence, a good example.
Yeah. It's one of the many. Well, Appendix N covers other things these days, like movies, comics. Again, we get into the graphic novel sort of comic side. We've got such a vast array, everything from The Watchmen to Judge Dredd to American Flag, even the traditional superhero
Hmm.
stuff. There's so much there, so much there. Movies, we've covered so many. Just about any action movie, all the Indiana Jones movies, superhero movies, they can all be adapted and used. The fantasy movies, there's Labyrinth,
I love
which
Labyrinth.
and Dark
Great movie.
Crystal.
Yeah,
There were a lot, I would sort of argue, of very low budget, where they didn't have the effects at that stage back in the
yeah.
day to actually do or produce what we actually saw now. But again, with the coming of Star Wars and Industrial Light and Magic, all of a sudden we'd got so many sort of doors opening up, and you got the likes of Battlestar Galactica and Buck Rogers appearing on TV.
Yeah,
Star Trek: The Next Generation, even the original Star Trek. So
yeah,
many things you can draw upon from
yeah.
that.
It was never
James
off the
Smith.
TV, was it? It's
Oh, no, that's it. It was on it just about every week. It was
Doctor Who. Yeah,
Doctor Who too. Blake Seven. Probably
yeah.
one of
No,
the
you see,
most
I
darkest.
never got into Blake Seven.
It's one of the most darkest dystopian um, TV programs I think I've probably ever come across. The Tomorrow People. If you want more kids
Oh
oriented.
yeah, yeah. So
Uh,
I'm gonna throw this question out then. Maybe as a closing one. I don't know, but
Go on.
Judge Dredd,
Yeah,
Stallone or Carl Urban?
Urban every time.
Yeah. Now you
Definitely.
see, I'm gonna. Here we go. Controversy. Um, for me, acting and story and what have you, Dredd. For depicting Mega City 1, the wider Mega City 1, Stallone.
Yeah, we didn't get to see much of Mega City in the Dread movie, did you?
No,
The
no, there is. It was very dark, and don't get me wrong. I know it's a dark setting, but I think the Stallone version did give a little bit more in terms of the wider setting.
Yeah, well, we're hoping still that there will be more Mega City movies coming. We've got the Rogue Trooper movie on the horizon, which of course is set in the same
Yeah,
universe.
yeah. Hmm.
So there's hope there. It would have been great to have seen a series or more movies with Urban in, though, as Dread. I think he's
Yeah, there
been
was talk of
very
a
good.
series, wasn't there?
Yeah, and unfortunately, due to financing and other writing issues, I think there was an issue with the Writers Guild of America at the time, and other things going on. So it never got picked up. Unfortunately, it never got
Right.
followed through. Which is,
Rebellion still own the rights for Judge Dredd.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
As far as I'm aware, they
So
did.
there you go. If anybody from Rebellion's watching,
Yeah,
number one, can we have a new RPG, please? Or if you want somebody to write Judge Dredd for Savage Worlds, here I am.
yeah.
And
Or just Judge Dredd. I'll
and
do. You know, we'll work. We'll do it together.
and any time you want to do a series or a movie, I'm in.
Yeah, definitely. I'll be
Yeah,
Dredd.
yeah. So sell me a ticket. I'm good.
You can be Cassandra. There you go.
Thanks, mate.
Well, on that note, we shall end it for tonight. So we've covered so many different Appendix N things there that
Yeah, I'd
we've
love to
not
hear what
scratched
other
the
people
surface.
think. I think we should definitely. I'd love to know what's inspired other people for their writing or just if they're playing or running games. If something, if you've taken a character inspiration from a movie or a book, and I've done that with a game where I took Jane Cobb from Firefly and the Hound from Game of Thrones and other characters that are just basically unlikable,
Yes.
and threw them all into this fantasy character and then sent him on a redemption arc throughout the campaign, and it was really cool.
Yeah, well, it works. Well, I
So
think we should actually keep coming back to Appendix N, and might make that one of the standard questions that I ask guests.
when we get a new guest, yes, definitely. What are your influences?
That's it.
Either as a player or as a
Give
GM
us
or as a
your
writer.
Appendix N. There you go.
Yeah.
And by Appendix N, we do mean Appendix N, not your actual appendix. We don't want that on show. Thank you very much. Right. Well, on that note,
Right.
it's going to be definitely a goodbye from him, I think.
Well, I'm off to find my blue spandex and my gold badge.
Okie dokie. Well, there you go. That's the way to actually sort of do it. I've got the badge somewhere around, and I'm sure I'll find a helmet. And well, with a body like this, it's just Dread, isn't it? Complete.
Oh yeah.
Right, so definitely goodbye from him.
Goodbye, everybody. Happy gaming.
See you next time.